Thank you. Good evening, all. First of all, thanking all the attendees so far and the future joinees to spare some time out to attend this call arranged by LM and will be briefed by the management of Anu Pharma. I sincere thank to the management of Anu Pharma Limited to shell out time to address the queries of all of our investors, shareholders in the industry. I'm sure it's going to be an insight to the investors. I think looking back about 2-3 quarters, time has been pretty challenging, as well as there were a lot of opportunities around. So I'm sure which if we one current FI company has been able to capitalize on the opportunities available to the fullest, followed by the next quarter, which I feel was pretty much going back to the normal consistency performance as was there earlier, and this quarter as well. So I think the company will be able to, the management shall give us more insights and summarize, give the brief earnings for the current FI quarter Q3, and also take us through the all 3 quarters so far. So I would like to invite the management Anu Pharma, Mr. Bipin Shah, the Vice Chairman, Mr. Ritesh Shah, the Joint MD, and Mr. Darshan, the CFO from Anu Pharma. I will hand it over to them without taking much time, and I think let us hear out from them. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Bhavin Bhai. Friends and dear shareholders, I am Bipin Shah, Vice Chairman of Anu Pharma Limited. I have been involved in the company since its inception, that is 1989. Sir, we are 32 years young company. And if you go back to our history, Anu Pharma has been paying dividend since more than 25 years, ranging from 55% going up to 230%. And we have been able to give bonus every 5 years. Let's say 1999, 2006, 2010, 2015 and 2020. And the bonus has been from a range of 1:1 or going up to 3 shares for each shareholding. You will be pleased to know that the company started with a capital of 8 lakh rupees, and with the God's grace and with your support, today it is a reserve of more than 175 crores. These are all our past accomplishments, achievements, etc., etc. But what about the future outlook? Friends, we are pleased to inform you that we are now getting all raw materials excepting for one, for which we are trying to develop a local source. We are fortunately back on the track post COVID-19 lockdown. And even during the COVID-19 lockdown, we had kept the wheels of production always moving right from 1st April 2020. The advantages of new expansion facility, as per our promise, is 30% growth on top line, 30% growth on bottom line, and an average EBITDA of 15%. I am very pleased to say that at the end of 3 quarters, that is on 31st December 2020, we have been able to reach or surpass this promise which I had given to you during my last conference call. I would also like to specially mention one thing, that the facility at Boisar has got a zero liquid discharge system installed at a cost of around 6.5 safety and environment. You also know that today the biggest challenge of any API industry is the pollution. Friends, our current manufacturing capacity is 1,200 metric tons per year after expansion, and our ongoing capacity utilization is approximately 65%. We are also pleased to say that we have the lowest attrition rate compared to the industrial attrition rate. During the next financial year, that is the year 2021-22, we propose to invest additional 4 crores in capital investment to take our manufacturing capacity from 1,200 metric tons per year to 1,500, 1,500 metric tons per year. Friends, for the period April 2020 going up to December 2020, that is the first 9 months, the EBITDA margin is approximately 49 crores, which is probably the highest compared to the last 31 years. Even our profit before tax has been reported at 36.9 crores, which is also the highest amongst last 32 years. And the top line of 343 crores, that is also probably the highest. And all the above numbers are at least 30% higher than the first 9 months of last financial year. We would also like to note that in this particular year, which will end on 31st March 2021, we would have claimed a depreciation of approximately 15 crore rupees, which used to be about 3 crores earlier years. But because of the additional expansion, where we spent approximately 70 crore rupees, and which was commissioned in December 2019, we'll be writing off a depreciation of around 15 crores. So I would now welcome any further questions that you might have in mind. I am here to only say that look at the history, look at the current year's 9 months performance. And we are here working very hard. Now I have 2 more gentlemen who are being appointed as joint managing directors. One is my elder son Ritesh Shah, who is an MBA and a chemistry graduate with almost 16 years spent in Anupharma. Second is my younger son Vivek Shah, who has done his master in biotechnology, and he has also spent 11 years in Anupharma. Ritesh Shah takes care of the finance, international marketing, local marketing, general administration. Vivek Shah takes care of all the technical matters like running an R&D laboratory, production, new projects. And I am still available to them as and when they need it. I am fully still very active on that. I wanted to pass on the baton at the right time, and I am sure that under their guidance, the company will definitely flourish further and further. So with this, sir, I invite questions from the shareholders and our well-wishers. Thank you so much.
Certainly. Participants who wish to ask a question can either post their question on the Q&A tab or use the raise hand option. There is one question from Mr. Pawan. When is NSE listing?
See, there is some listing criteria for NSE listing, and I think it may take additional 6 to 9 months to listing.
Thank you. We have a question from Ms. Kirti Thakkar. Ms. Thakkar, there is one question from Mr. Prasenjit. The EBITDA margin target of 15 to 16% is not visible in Q3 FY20 number and also NMFY 20 numbers. Q3 FY20 EBITDA margin much low at 6.5%. Any reason? What's the margin target for Q4 FY20?
My humble request is bulk drug industry is to an extent a seasonal industry. Whenever there is a healthy season like October, November, December, the performance is always little lower. And second thing, in the first 6 months of the financial year, that is starting from 1st April going up to 30 September. This is the peak season, and during this season, people buy the largest quantity of bulk drugs. And in this particular year, that was COVID year, the formulation companies who are our main clients, they purchased additional quantities in fear of not getting quantities subsequently. So we had excessive sales in the first 6 months, and naturally that will be little lower in the last quarter. But overall, I am very confident that we will be able to reach approximately 14 to 15% EBITDA margin in spite of having spent 15 crore on the depreciation.
There is a question from Parul Shah. What should be EBITDA margin in FY22 and what should be approximate top line in FY22?
As of today's plan, this year we had committed that over 2020, that is April to March 2020, we will give a result which will be 30% higher top margin, bottom line margin, and EBITDA margin. In April to March 21, we had committed and we have been performing as per that. Once our projections and budgets are ready, but I am very confident that this will be continued next year also, maybe between 25 to 30, because I want to be little conservative rather than giving a very dreamy picture to the shareholders.
Mr. Pankaj P. Shah has a question. Please go ahead, sir. Mr. Pankaj P. Shah. We have a question from Mr. Sunny Ahuja. Raw material cost is 81% at the highest ever. Are we having supply chain issues?
There is no supply chain issue, but the selling price will pick up once we have regulatory approvals. Whenever we make any new product like ambroxol hydrochloride or glyclazide, initially we have to sell this product in the local market or in the rest of the world market where regulatory is not being followed. Once we have approval in the regulatory market, the selling price will improve, which will consequently take down the raw material content from 81 down up to 70%. When we sell our goods in rest of the world or in local market, we do not realize the same selling price as we realize in the regulatory market.
The next question is, what's the utilization levels of our new plant and outlook for revenue and capacity utilization from the new plant?
The current utilization is at 65%, and we hope to go up to 85% in the subsequent years.
Thank you. For any questions, participants can post their questions on the Q&A tab or use the raise hand option. We have a question from Pankil. What is the current capacity utilization and where are we likely to end by March 2021?
The current capacity utilization, I just said, is about 65%, and it will continue to go, but maximum up to 70% by March 2021.
There is a question from Raju Bakshi. What is the status of the 3 new products that you had mentioned in annual report?
Well, as far as those 3 new products are concerned, if you see, glyclazide is already marketed and we are getting very good support from the market. Ambroxol, which was marketed in the earlier year, that we are happy to say that we have received European approval, which is called EDQM approval. So now we will be able to sell it in the regulatory market. About the other 2 products, that is telmisartan and moxifloxacin, the validation batches are going on. And one clarity I would like to make, that any new product, once we start the validation batch, it will have a cycle of 4 to 5 years, after which it will receive an optimum quantity, optimum number of cells, and then it will be able to make good profit, because by that time it would have received a regulatory approval, and then we would be able to realize higher selling price. Because any new product we make will need 3 years to make the stability data. Till we are ready with the stability data, regulatory approvals like US FDA, like European approval would not come. So till then we have to sell it in the local or rest of the world market, where the realization is comparatively lower.
There is a question from Mr. Jaideep Merchant. What is the level of pre-qualification sale in FY 2021 and what kind of growth you expect FY 2022 in pre-qualification sales?
The pre-qualification sale of the total is about 17.5%. And now that we have got more products involved in that, it can go up to 25%.
So the next question is, what are the plans for new plant, from Mr. Pankil?
In the new plant, we have already started, as I said, glyclazide. We have increased the production of ambroxol hydrochloride, and the validation batches are going on. And one most important thing, one of our very good product called sulfadoxine, we are starting it from the basics in our intermediate plant, which was a part of our new project.
The next question is from Mr. Manohar Jumani, whether formalities from the company side have been complied for NSE listing.
No, we are just studying their what are the listing criteria, and then, as I was told, that it will take 6 to 9 months to complete the formality.
The next question is from Romil Jain. Pipeline for new products going ahead, number of products and market size, and any benefit of higher realization for our products due to COVID scenario.
Yes, there is one important thing which I would like to reply in this question. There is one product called azithromycin, which we have been manufacturing for last several years, but that we were doing by one step, importing N-1, that is penultimate stage from China. But now our R&D laboratory and our project team are working very hard to make it from absolute basic stage. And we are likely to be successful that with that, the same product will be making from N-4, that is 4 step backward. With this, our quantum of market will go up and our profitability is also likely to go up.
We have a question from Mr. Jaideep Merchant. What is the status of finished product pricing, which had gone up in COVID times? Has the price stabilized now? Do you expect these prices to move up after few quarters?
The finished product prices have definitely stabilized, and it is a very, it's not a constant. When the price goes up, it is mainly because of the raw material cost. Because in any bulk drug or pharma product, basic drug content is about 70% of the total selling price. So it is a variable thing.
We have a question from Mr. Siddhant. Please confirm of the total raw material requirement. How much percentage is imported and how much percentage is sourced via backward integration?
I think our import content is around 60% of our total raw material, and the balance 10% approximately is procured locally.
The next question is whether our company will be able to get PLI benefits for new products. This is from Mr. Manohar Jumani.
There is one product, as I said, that is azithromycin, which can qualify for the PLI scheme. But in my considered opinion, after having studied the PLI scheme, probably it doesn't serve that good purpose. But we have to more depend on our own costing and our own strength of marketing.
There is a question from Ms. Purvi. Sir, when do we expect the US FDA to visit or approve the new facility? How many products have been filed so far from this site? Post-launch, how do we see sales and profit growth?
Normally, US FDA visits a factory after 5 years normally, but the moment we file any drug master file, then they give us permission and subsequently they visit within 1 or 2 years. As of today, we have not filed any drug master file for US FDA, but we do have a US FDA approval.
We have a question from Mr. Hitesh. The seasonality in the margins that you are referring to is not seen in the past years. Gross margin is Q3 at 18.6%, was the lowest in the last 5 years. Please elaborate on this.
So if you see 5 years average and if you see 1 quarter average, I think there is a big difference in that. And as I said, during that healthy season, in order to achieve our top line target, we also compromise on our selling price to make sure that the quantity targets are reached.
We have a question from Ms. Purvi. Post entry into regulated markets, what kind of gross margins do we expect to report?
Regulatory sales brings an average EBITDA margin of anything from 30 to 35%, and non-regulatory sale brings about 14 to 15%. So it is substantially higher than the non-regulatory sales.
The question from Mr. Amit. How much will erythromycin sales be as a percentage of total sales after 3 to 4 years?
Well, azithromycin is considered as a derivative from erythromycin only. So if that azithromycin project which I discussed before 5 minutes on the same table, I think at present if you see the erythromycin plus azithromycin sale is about 40% of the total sale of the company including other products. The moment azithromycin clicks, I expect it to go to at least 55 to 60% of the total sales of the company. That means around 50% growth on the current numbers. If our current sale is say about 220 crores, go up by at least 45 to 50%.
We have a question from Romil Jain. Market size of new products which are launched and next 3 to 4 years revenue vision.
I think market size and the revenue vision on the new products is an exercise which we have conducted before 2 years. But this is a very dynamic thing and it keeps on changing because new molecules, by the time you start R&D and by the time you market, there are several changes coming. Either some new molecules take over or the old molecules, the profitability which we see at the time of starting R&D and by the time we really are ready with the marketing are different. So it is only time-tested exercise. Whatever is projected and what happens will have probably sometime a big gap.
Next is a question from Mr. Hitesh. When do you expect to make the raw material intermediates of azithromycin in-house?
Well, R&D on 1 kilo scale is ready, but I can tell you, conservatively, it should take maximum 6 months.
We have a question from Mr. Sunny Ahuja. What is the expected market share of corticosteroids in FY21 and FY22?
The current margin only will continue, which is around 15%. I think that should continue. There is not a big uphill, upward or downward.
The next question is, to achieve quantity targets, is it possible to just focus on 30 to 40 customers? Currently, the presentation says that there are about 350 customers. Would focus on 30-40 help increase sales and get better margins? Your views, please.
Not at all. These 350 numbers include the export plus local, and it is always advisable and better and wise to have a larger number of client base, because if you are dependent on only 30 or 40 clients, then there are more chances of up and downs, which is not right, and we have to look at it that we should be able to cater. And 350 again is a very good number because we are not dependent on only a few number of clients.
The next question is, when do we expect the regulated sales to commence? If we have already received an approval, when do we plan to file the DMF?
When you say regularity sale, it is European approval plus WHO PQ Geneva approval. That sales are already going on and they are increasing year on year. And now that we have Ambroxol, which is approved by European regulatory, and we are very sure that year on year the percentage of regulatory sale will go on year by at least 10% per year. That means if we are selling today the 17.5% as a regulatory, it should go up by 10% year on year.
The next question is, which product do you forecast fastest growth in 2 years?
Well, there are some old products also, like as I said, azithromycin will have probably very fast growth. Sulfadoxine also will have very fast growth. And glycoside is a very promising product. These three products, I mean, with my experience of more than 49 years in this industry, are the top line products of Pharma, which will grow very fast.
The next question is from Romil Jain. Current revenue from regulated markets, next 3 to 4 years contribution from regulated products.
This number has to be worked out, but quantity wise, I said that 17.5 is the quantity wise sales in the current year, and the increase would be, of course, dependent on products which are now recently approved by European approval and WHO PQ. So 17.5 is the current number, and it will progressively go year on year basis.
Next question is, any plans of inorganic growth by taking over other companies so that sales engine can grow faster?
We have a plan, but the right candidate is yet to be seen, because since more than 2 years we have been looking for inorganic expansion, and the day we get the right candidate, because we must have something to fall back upon also. At present, of course, another company, Great Pacific, where we are making steroid, but it is only steroid specific. So we can't do anything except steroid there. But yes, we have plans within next 1.5 years, if we get a right candidate, to go for inorganic expansion.
Thank you. The next question is from Raju Bakshi. What is the reason of significant fall in EBITDA in Q3, 9.7% only? Also, there is a degrowth in top line in Q3.
I think I already gave a reply that in the earlier quarters, the formulators had bought excessive quantities because they were thinking that probably there could be acute shortage of bulk drugs. And this being again a healthy season as it is, but you have to count the 9 months performance, or as I said, to an extent our industry is seasonal. So there is no specific reason for that. This is a typical thing, and even in our review of a company's performance of Anupharma, we always see the overall year or first 2, 3 quarters, 4 quarters like that. Individual quarters, you don't have any significance over the yearly performance.
Mr. Nilay asks, does Anupharma envisage to enter into CRAMS business anytime in future?
Not for the time being, because as it is, there is a huge scope for the new products which we already developed, and as on this stage, we are not planning to go for any CRAMS. Our specialty is API manufacturing.
Next question is from Mr. Manohar Jumani. What are the margins in erythromycin at present? With 45 to 50% increase, whether the margins will improve?
Well, as I said, when you make first generation salts, that is all erythromycin salts, the EBITDA margin is around 14 to 15%. But the moment we go for azithromycin, the margins are likely to improve substantially. And the EBITDA margin could be 14 to 15, and the net margin could be 10% in case of first generation salts.
We have a question from Mr. Prasenjit. Kindly share the revenue vision or target for the next 2 to 3 years, your long-term vision for the company.
Well, we have made a 5-year plan when we did our expansion. And in that 5-year plan, when I look back, I know that the top line will have to go up by anything between 20 to 25% year on year. although that is not the right benchmarking. The right benchmarking is EBITDA margin, and but as you asked for top line, I expect for next 4 to 5 years, the top line should go up by 20 to 25% year-on-year basis.
Next question is, how much percentage of revenue are we targeting from new products in next 3 years?
1 second. So only from new products, if we see, at least 25% of the revenue, top revenue, should be coming from new products.
The next question is, our facility was inspected by US FDA. Are we supplying for US as well?
Our facility, not the new project, but the old facility was inspected and approved by US FDA without any comment. That means it was thoroughly approved by them. And there are some products which are, of course, as of now in small quantity that are being supplied to USA for compounding purpose.
Next question is, plan to increase market share of Azithro from 2 to 15. When can it happen and what can be impact on EBITDA margin? So do you want me to repeat? Mr. Bipin Shah? Do you want me to repeat the question? Ladies and gentlemen, please stay on the line. Mr. Bipin Shah? We are not able to hear you. Mr. Bipin Shah?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now, sir. I'll just repeat the question. The question
Okay.
is from Mr. Nitin Gandhi. Plan to increase market share of Azithro from 2 to 15. When can it happen and what can be impact on EBITDA margin?
The share can go up in at least 2 years' time, and EBITDA margin will naturally remain the same. So within 2 years, we expect a quantum jump in azithromycin.
The next question is when the regulatory sales for US will commence?
It is a little difficult to say. At present, we are supplying for some compounding products, which is not that significant, but our efforts are on to see that that trigger some quantities for us.
The next question is, what is the reason for significant fall in EBITDA in Q3? Also, top line is also showing a downward trend.
As I said earlier also, that let us not look on quarter to quarter basis because this is a seasonal product to an extent. API is first 6 months are always substantially higher than the subsequent quarters.
We have a question from Mr. Hitesh. Is it possible to broadly grade the profitability margins of different category of products that we currently have?
I would give a general reply that if you are selling in non-regulatory market, then your PBT, which is the profit before tax would be around 9 to 10%. But the moment you sell in a regulatory market, this profit margin will go up to 25%.
The next question is from Amrish Mehta. Azithromycin is also being sold by China at cheaper rates. What is the company's preparedness to compete with this Chinese product?
Well, our R&D laboratory has developed a process which will definitely, the cost of that will be at least 5 to 8% less than the imports from China. And as it is now, all the formulators are giving more priority and preference to any bulk drug which is produced in India because of, somewhat strained relations and uncertainty from Chinese APIs.
The next question is, any products where we are leaders or major supplier from India?
Yeah, I think two of the product groups, that is erythromycin group and pyrazinamide, one of the anti-TB product, we are the largest producer and largest exporter from India. And now a third product in the queue, that is sulfadoxine. There also we are now trying to achieve first position as a exporter to the regulatory market as well as the veterinary market.
There is a question from Mr. Sunny Ahuja. Sir, our US market share by 2025, any rough estimate?
It's a wild guess, but the moment any good product clicks, it can go up to 15 to 20%.
Mr. Abhishek Kapoor asks, we are into bulk drugs. Any plans to get into specialty drugs to improve margins?
I think some of the products which we are manufacturing are already like specialty products. There is one product where we are the only producers in the world. There is another product where we are the second largest producer in the world. So this does mean that what we produce is to substantial extent a specialty product.
Mr. Manohar Jumani asks, what are the prospects for Q4, where the top line will be better than previous year Q4, and also bottom line in Q4 will be better?
Yeah, it has to be better. We hope for that.
The next question is, are we looking for to avail PLI scheme announced by government for API manufacturing?
As I said, in my opinion, or in my considered opinion, PLI scheme doesn't serve any useful purpose. And with my so many years experience, the product itself should have the strength of making profits. On any government scheme, if we depend, then that is not my philosophy of doing or running the industry.
The next question is from Mr. Nitin Gandhi. When will expanded capacity be operational from 1200 to 1500 FY22? Will be 85% utilization of 1500. What is asset turnover, ROC, etc. criteria expected for product developed?
See, during April to March 22, that is April 21 going up to March 22, we have a plan to invest additional 4 crores and put more machineries and reactors to take the production capacity or installed capacity from 1200 to 1500 metric tons. And then up to 2023, we hope that 80% of the new capacity, that is 80% of 1500 tons should be definitely possible to achieve.
Thank you, sir. For any further questions, participants can either post their question on the Q&A tab or use the raise hand option. Thank you. We have a question from Mr. Pawan. Any plans for special dividend?
Oh, let us hope that your dreams come true. For special dividend, we have to make special profits. And I wish your words come true. It is in everybody's interest, in the interest of all my shareholders.
For any further questions, please post the questions on the Q&A tab or use the raise hand option. Please post the questions on the Q&A tab. Yes, there is a question from Mr. Pankil. We have a question from Sunny Ahuja. Sir, any plans to attract Phyllis or institutional investors? So you want me to repeat the question?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, sure. Any plans to attract Phyllis or institutional investors?
Can you come back again?
Yeah. Any plans to attract FIIs or institutional investors?
We would welcome any proposal.
What is the asset turnover, ROE, etc. criteria expected for product developed?
About
5 times.
5 times.
Okay, we have a question from Mr. Pratik Kothari. When will we see 15% margins? FY21 numbers do not reflect that yet. Thank you.
15% EBITDA is there, and you can imagine we are claiming about 15 crore depreciation in April to March 21. So as it is, EBITDA margin is 15%.
Thank you, sir. Shareholders can send email to Company Secretary for any further questions. We'd like to read a disclaimer. This presentation may include certain forward-looking statements based on current expectations within the meaning of applicable laws and regulations. Actual results may differ and the company does not guarantee realization of these statements. The company also disclaims any obligation to revise any forward-looking statements. The readers may use their own judgment and are advised to make their own calculations before deciding on any matter based on the information given herein. No part of this presentation may be reproduced, quoted, or circulated without prior written approval from Anu Pharma Limited. I would now like to turn the call to Mr. Bhavin Shah for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all the participants for participating in the earnings call and being so patient. I would first of all thank you, management, Mr. Vipin Bhai, Ritesh Bhai, and Darshan Bhai, to be so patiently addressing and answering the investors' concerns and questions. That's it from my side. Thank you very much, and we hope and we wish all the very best to the company to see the progress continuing ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.